Hey folks, we back. It has been a while, but through the live show prep with the borderlines, closing off a semester in UE as part-time staff and student, I just had to cool it. This is a one-man show. It's me, script, camera, edit, everything, and the Supreme God, of course, in the studio. But we're rolling again. That being said, thanks to the support for those who continue to send their videos. I'll get to them, hopefully, analyze them. And for those who continue to like and subscribe and share, continue to do so. I appreciate it. A friend of mine sent me the Sabga challenge created by Voice, and I end up in a little Instagram rabbit hole. So I listened to quite a few and decided to show you all the poetry in some of them. This also gave me an opportunity to dive into some of the less known artists, as you know, in my inbox I have a lot of young artists wanting their work analyzed. You know, I feel very humble for that. And one day I'll get it. Trinbago is full of talent, and I'm really interested in seeing folk street literature as more of a necessity than just a fad for bright people and nerds on the side, because we live in literature, and here is proof. These selections don't mean that these were the baddest, but they stood out to me due to their use of song literary techniques. I also didn't listen to every single one. Plenty of people enter the challenge, and I didn't listen to all from start to finish, but I listened to quite a few. So here's the Poetry in Voices Sabga challenge. First up, Echo. Two amazingly talented sisters, the rich vocals, the intelligent lyrics, that allow them to kind of stand out. Of course, Voices verse, it has a built-in simile rich like Sabga. So the ability of the writers to extend the simile or send it in a fresh and unique place, that kept me listening. And here are Echo's opening lines. Ooh, man, we're rich like Sabga. Call me now, you can talk to me one more night. Signal busy with paper. Can't answer that question is no longer. Call me now because you can't talk to me one more night. Signal busy with paper. That line is a pretty solid use of literary technique. So because they're rich like Sabga, our opportunities as poor people to speak to them, that get reduced one time. Their communication signals busy with paper. Paper, of course, as a neck the key for money, because money made out of paper. And of course, there's a metaphor to show that the communication lines are blocked with money. That is a nice metaphor. Money stacking up your communication channels. And that is also a nice example to show how metaphor could create hyperbole. However, it's the intertextuality that really showed me their creativity. They used the Busy Signal song, One More Night. And they also credit Busy one time in the wordplay, Signal Busy. And you could always reference that back to Busy himself. So they avoid plagiarism. That is key in intertextuality. And of course, that kind of MLA Chicago style, like straight out of UE. So big up Echo for that verse. Now they reference a number inside of it. I don't know what that means. If somebody know what it means, big me up in the comments. But that particular part of the verse is really solid. You know I like it when one line loaded with devices to connect the key metaphor and intertextuality, and they have some alliteration in there as well with the C songs. Big up yourself, Echo. Next up, this is my favorite verse in the challenge so far.
Come on, we're rich like Santa. Me, I be real, me as a youth, me just want to achieve my dream so that my mother could retire.
And it comes from an artist that goes by the IG handle Coutain. I guess some of you all might know him, first time I really exposed him. And there are several things that I like about his verse, and I'll spend quite a bit of time analyzing this one because this one stood out by far in terms of literary technique. So what really jumped out at me is the delayed rhyme. What the hell is delayed rhyme? Some writers make you wait for the rhyme, and the rhyme usually in a place that you wouldn't expect it to be. And most times these writers are the writers that put the narrative element, they set that as precedence over just picking up rhymes to fit in. Because they're confident that they'll come back and fit in the exact word at the exact time. They have a greater vocabulary range and a sound understanding of sound. So even when the rhyme scheme not traditional, it's still complex. And the positioning of Coutain's rhyme keeps your ears eager to hear where the punch is at the end of each thought. So let me dive into the lyrics. He says,
me, I be real, me as a youth, me just want to achieve my dream so that my mother could retire.
So the line or thought stops by the word retire. And then he continues.
Me diving at the soca industry, the bag of people I want me say you have a lot to fight ahead, but I'm about to fight.
By now you're expecting, alright, I should have found a clear rhyming word with the word retire. I should have found a perfect rhyme. However, Coutain abandons that regular setup. Instead, he uses complex songs to create some sonic sweetness. Now what I try to do here is color code the words that correlate in one way or the other with each other. And let me break down a few of these correlations for you. So there's internal rhyme in the line with the words dream and achieve, and also the word real kind of rhyme in there too. And then it continues with assonance within all the other words in red. The song similar. We know that internal rhyme is rhyme within the line, and assonance is similar sound within words, that E, E, E. Now look at how many R songs here. More assonance. Wa, guan, mother, retire. And even if you listen to Mother Could Retire, look at those T songs, creating a kind of alliterative effect. Retire also rhymes with bagger and then matches the R song in our head. Now you may say, no way, that's all intentional. You just fluff that and just put words together. But let me tell you something, when you're immersing yourself in rhyme and song, these patterns start to become a natural reaction to your pen. Let's dive in further just to show you all that the man mean what he say and say what he mean. He says, on behalf of Ghetto Youth who have a talent, we can do we best, pass any test. All we need is a chance and some guidance. That one much more clear to you. Look at the colors, everything matching. Watch it. Ghetto, youth, talent. Ghetto youth who have talent. Same alliterative effect that I highlighted a little while before. Then more internal rhyme in best and test, basic internal rhyme for anybody. And internal rhyme in chance and guidance, assonance in the songs, that R song, and even the N, ants. Now the way he punches it in the flow emphasizes the certain words, and that particular punch in the flow is evidence that the word choice is calculated. This shows qualities of a skilled lyricist where you're waiting for the rhymes and they're popping at you in surprising and fresh ways. And we definitely didn't wait in vain in Coutain's verse. I'm not done with the verse yet. Look at this part. Go home to work, go home to work, go home to work, and then dead, and that's all, folks. Not only does this bring forward a richness in his narrative, remember he was sticking to the narrative over the rhymes. Coutain's overall verse is speaking of riches outside of money, but it also speaks of the detrimental cycle, a cycle in real life where folks not experiencing life's riches because they caught up in somewhat of a hamster wheel, and the words themselves acting as the hamster wheel, morphing one into each other. The words chasing each other in a kind of way, so he built a nice cycle there. He ends with the alliteration in that same hamster part, then dead and that's all, folks. Then dead and that's all, folks. And we also know the folks rhymes with the works earlier on, capping off a brilliant verse. And if I don't mention the fact that at the end they say he want to be a grandfather and not get buried by his mother, what an apt conclusion to everything he was trying to create in the verse. He wants to be as rich as anyone who passes 80. Great surprise simile, veering away from the material riches and definitely becoming one of my favorite on that challenge so far. My friends, that is how you stand out in a challenge. Next up,
I'm rich like Abraham. Can't change my name, address, and station.
Udo Ebel. I hope I pronounced it correct. This one drew me in because he took over voice whole part and he started with a new simile. Just like Coutain, he used misdirection, taking voice's narrative somewhere else. Biblical allusion, rich like Abraham, so there's a simile in there, but also alluding to biblical characters in the Old Testament there. And then extending the simile to include Abraham's story, but also like linking it to his own personal situation, something that a lot of gospel artists try to do. But I think he hit a lot of positive marks in the way he did it. I felt it as genuine even in the video with all his children and all. Also like the rich like solo, and then later sort of given the parallelism of him having one woman. If he was talking about Solomon, we know that he's plenty concubines and things, and that turned out not to be wealthy for him in the end. So I like the fact that he seemed to be referring to Solomon. If he's not, somebody in the comments hit me up and let me know. He then dives into another allusion, illustrating how riches can be detrimental, as in the rich man with Lazarus. He going real deep in the Bible now. Scripture in here. For those who don't know the story, Lazarus, not the one who was risen from the dead, Lazarus was a beggar. This Lazarus also died, and he ended up in heaven. And the man who he was begging from was looking up at him all the time and like, wait boy, that beggar make it to heaven and the rich man end up in hell. And we know the overall thing he's trying to say is that his riches bigger than that. He also talk a little bit about his daughters and think he ain't need no dowry for them, etc, etc. So Udo Ebel is saying he doesn't want to be rich if he loses his salvation. And the children are feeling the vibes too. What's Smalley? His rhyme pattern is also pretty consistent and he sits in the biblical allusions consistently. So big up yourself, Udo Ebeleme. Hope I get that right, man. One of the pronunciations had to be right. Alright, this next one, I think this man is one of the most poetic lyricists in the nation. He's hit some heights too. Nathaniel Boy, the fisherman, he starts with a rhetorical question.
What if the cash flow only run if Nathanael sing song like gangster?
What if the cash flow only run if Nathaniel sings song like gangster? Rhetorical question, of course, a nice persuasive literary device to get your work going. And the thing about it is, trust me, if Nathaniel started to write Trinidad, bad man who dead will rise back up to be bad again, because that man pen bad. Thank the Lord for grace. He then makes a quick reference to bad man music, girls, guns, drugs, numbers. Kinda summarizing bad man music in those 4 words, of course, getting the G songs inside. Then I like the metaphor, Yeshua FC my team. That is a solid metaphor, and he extends it a bit by saying that he didn't want to transfer, you know, a nice sportsman metaphor for his connection with the Most High God. He then contrasts his life by being grateful for his Lancer instead of the Benz, and that one car kind of also represents commitment to one woman. He didn't want to balance an act. He drives one car at a time, not 2. Nathaniel then digs out all marital family into text reference with my money, ha ha. But the ha is really the beginning of ha fi clean, meaning his money ha fi clean, as he affirms that his ways to riches will never involve compromising his standards and values. And I think the ha ha also refers to him laughing at the thought of Nathaniel chasing dirty money. Ha with that. Big up yourself on that verse, Nathaniel. Alright, last one, Sadiki official.
Come on, we're rich like Trump. Money older than my grandfather.
Now, the truth of the matter is, most of the writers on the beat spoke about material riches, and it started to become cliche in the context of the whole challenge itself. I think Sadiki though dug deep and got some fresh and humorous to me similes. Sadiki stood out to me at his first line, rich like Trump. What a simile. And then he had some nice little extensions in there. He also had the simile, rich like Coutain. And I guess to parallel it off to the Trump at the beginning, if he'd put in a little Iran reference, and I like that as well. So kudos for him extending it, rich like Trump. Something about an old grey man, and rich like Coutain, he don't need no lawyer. I admit I was a bit lost in trying to pick up the narrative, and some of the similes was just kind of coming at you fast. For example, look at this one. Money spread like STDs and enough of them are cancer. So his money spread like STDs and enough of them are cancer. I'm not sure what he's saying overall, but I found that very entertaining. I imagine he's saying that STDs are the better ailment than cancer, or the dreader ailment, so his money... Dog, that is a weird thing to say, but it was entertaining. And if you know what that means, I'll help me out in the comments with that one. But it's a good standalone simile. Like a simile that just kind of punch you and say, what? You know, in this kind of way, sometimes you want that kind of effect. Right? And me not understanding it could just be a me problem. A Rusty are now coming back. Another simile, richer than Cartel by myself, out of jail faster. I don't get that one, but it was entertaining. Right? I did like ghost bad energy like Casper. That is a great line. Great metaphor for getting rid of bad energy, where he actually becomes a ghost, which he calls himself Casper. A ghost is a spirit, an energy within itself to get rid of a bad energy. Ghost bad energy. He then says his money melanin stick, call it Black Panther. I'm not sure if he mean a melanin stick, like a melanin vaccine, and it become Black Panther, meaning his money powerful. Right? Some of the things were a little awkward fits inside of there, but overall I was well entertained by Sadiki, and big up every single writer that jumped on the challenge. There's the poetry and some of the participants in Voices Sabga challenge. Remember to like and subscribe and live the literature. Listen, all references we use and the lyrics to anything we use are right in the description below this video. Remember to like and subscribe if you appreciated the content, and if there's some text that you want us to analyze, just drop it in the comments below. We'll get it and find out where's the poetry.